so I planned on going for about a half an hour at the risk of boring us, right? But fortunately, we're gonna go a little less than that because we're starting a little late. So I'll try to keep it to about 20 minutes, and then we'll have about 20 minutes for hopefully a lively discussion, get questions, kind of go over some stuff that we didn't cover, just whatever kind of burning questions that we have, we'll try to address all of those. So quickly, by way of introduction, I'm Robert Rogers. I know Veronica and Princess really well. I just met you guys, and that's great. I work in Contra Costa County. I represent County Supervisor John Joya, who's the elected representative in the area, and of course, a big supporter of this wonderful urban farm that's here. I'm also a former journalist. I went to UC Berkeley for my master's in journalism with Veronica, who was my illustrious classmate, and also worked at the East Bay Times, and prior to that, the San Bernardino Sun. I have a lot of experience with public outreach, both from a public sector perspective and also from a private commercial media perspective. I have not a lot of video expertise in terms of sort of classic aesthetic video development. What I do have a lot of is experience in the field creating short video information, maybe not so much valued for the power of its aesthetic quality, but more so in terms of the public outreach component. And that's really what's important here, because that's what we're trying to do. And we'll get into some of the goals in a moment. But before that, that was my long introduction, apologies. Let's do with some short ones. Please leave it a name and tell me something interesting about yourself. Let's start here.
My name is Laura or Laura, and I work at Adams Crest Farm. Something
It's okay, we can back to you.
You got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of stuff in there. I didn't even realize
what counts as interesting?
something we probably don't know about.
We'll eat it too if I take it home. But the big picture.
I worked in Mexico when I was a kid.
That's interesting. That's great. And I appreciated your name, Laura, or probably your real name. But it's nice of you to have one for linguistically challenged people like myself, because I'd have a tough time rolling my R.
Yeah.
You, please.
So yeah, same. My name's Diana in English, but my mom named me Diana.
Oh.
Diana in Spanish. An interesting thing about me, I'm in the journey of working with herbs, so kind of like becoming an herbalist. So yeah, not sure if I can understand that, but it means working with herbs and making medicines and kind of healing with herbs.
That's fantastic. I know there's a lot more to it. And taking the complex and communicating it simply, memorably, and indelibly to a larger audience is a big part of why we're here.
I work with the Watersheds program, and everything's really interesting about me.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. I'm athletic. I love playing sports.
Yes, you are. We played softball together, and I was very impressed. DeAndre, fortunately, all that you missed was my boring introduction. Of course, some of your colleagues, but you already know them. So just your name and something interesting about yourself.
My name is DeAndre Evans. Work at the Reaffirmation Farm, and something interesting. I've been a part of a lot of projects.
Yes, you have. Fantastic. Thanks, DeAndre.
My name is Veronica Moscoso. I work for Urban Field, the Communications Associate, and I also work on many other projects. I am a storyteller, and my focus is video production. And something interesting about me is that I work in many projects as well. I have a lot of projects.
Fantastic. Well, thanks all for being here. Hopefully this will be a productive use of our time. We're going to hit a lot of topics very quickly. I'll also provide notes subsequent to the meeting that might be helpful to you moving forward. And of course, I want you to always think of me as a resource or a partner. If you have any questions in the field in the future, Of course, your first consultation is your own colleagues. Maybe your next one is Google or some other resource. But of course, I'm here too. I want you to consider me a partner. I know that Veronica and Princess and DeAndre have already, and now you're part of my wider network as well. So that's fantastic. I want to start by setting a little bit of context. I want to get into a little bit of philosophically why we do this, and then I want to go really quickly through some of the basic tips, and then we'll get questions and we'll have some feedback. First of all, it's really important to kind of establish this context. We're talking about a nonprofit, community-based organization for which you all work, and that serves the public and uses public dollars to do so. Now, the idea of creating videos that are going to communicate with a wider public what it is that we're doing is not a new idea. But what is new is the technology available. If we thought about doing this just 20 years ago, right? Just less than 2 decades, right? Some of you were already born at that point. We would be talking about an entirely different challenge, right? It would require a great deal of capital investment. There'd be a camera crew. They would go out. There would be a lot more cost and also time involved. And then, of course, in terms of distribution of the film, that would have been its own challenge. You would have had to rely on, perhaps rely on commercial media, which may or may not have taken your footage, or you might have to self-finance your own distribution. And that was incredibly difficult. Yes, we used to create videotapes and DVDs and send those around, right? So the ability for nonprofits to get their message, their work to a wider public was severely constrained just 20 years ago. Just 10 years ago, just 8 or 9 years ago, we had an entirely different reality. You guys remember this yourselves. At that time, you could take video, but it would have been with a more expensive camera. It might have not been capable with your smartphone. If you did, your ability to distribute and disseminate that information via the social media channels would have been severely constrained as well. YouTube already started, people were getting on that, but the viewership was only a fraction of where it is today. The emerging social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter at the time had extremely limited video capability. In fact, they didn't have any. I know Twitter did not. They would, however, post links. They would be able to go on that. Hi there, how are you? Please join us. So we had a very difficult time. Now, I want to take just a quick pause. Fortunately, you didn't miss hardly anything. We just did introductions. We're talking a little bit about the historical context before we get into some of the meat and potatoes here. But I'd like to get an introduction from you since you've just come.
I'm Deja. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all. That's it? Or what?
Something interesting about yourself.
Something interesting? I got a lot of kids, y'all. 3.
3.
Yeah, I know. So many.
That's not even a lot.
That works. That's a lot.
I have
It is a
one,
lot.
it's a lot.
I know Veronica has 1, and Princess and I both have 2,
See?
and none of us can imagine
I'm
3.
beating you guys at this point.
Well, congrats to you, and thanks for all the great work you're doing for 3 children. That's a tough. The fact that you're able to make it here is a little miracle in itself. So, back to 10 years ago, we're talking about very limited bandwidth, very limited platform capability for our media. Now, today, it's even drastically changed since 5 years ago. And 5 years from now, it'll go in directions we can't even foresee yet. But now we're in a whole different situation, where Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube is still there with a relatively similar platform. They've all rapidly increased their bandwidth, their ability, and they've all made tremendous investments in video. What we're really seeing here is it's not just that the internet's faster and 5G's coming and the platforms are there, but where this is really probably going is that we're seeing that 10 or 20 years ago, the idea was a tweet with 140 characters. 5 years from now, it'll be much more pervasive for all communication across these platforms to occur via video, right? Video is becoming the mode of communication on these platforms, and you're seeing these major communications companies, you're seeing them invest in it. You see something like Facebook, now they have the autoplay, where you're just scrolling, the video already begins. And there's different ways that we need to adapt our media to be able to take advantage of this most powerfully. So now, here we are today, and we have the phone with 4K video capability on a lot of this, probably all the smartphones you have. We're able to upload this from the field via the higher bandwidth web capabilities to all of the platforms. And so we're able to provide not only we shoot, we edit, and we provide high quality video content in just moments from the field. This is an entire process that was unthinkable 20 years ago and quite radical even 8 or 9 years ago. So, the big question is, we got all these tools, we're doing all this fantastic stuff, but why? Why is it even important? Especially if we're taking this particular example, we're working in this community, we're working for Urban Tilth, for our constituents, our residents, those we serve. Why is it important for us to communicate the mission that we have here? Let's get some feedback on that. What to be told? Story?
Our story to be told?
Yes. Other ideas? And you can even do a subhead of that. Why does the story need to be told?
For history. Yeah, for people to know what we're doing.
Yep.
For advertisement.
For, to get more money.
Yes. Yep. We'll put a little gloss on that. I heard advertisement. Yep. Any other ideas?
Awareness.
Yep.
There.
Do you have that
Oh
there?
yeah.
Engagement?
Yep. Anything else come to mind?
Are we missing any?
Yes, I think so. It's subjective, of course, but let's talk about the ones we have really quick. History. I like that, right? This is how the record will be told tomorrow. We know how it was told yesterday. It was in books, and it was in newspaper articles. We used to cut out of newsprint. Tomorrow, things will be archived on the web. Stories will be told by the digital video that we've created and captured. These companies, these platforms, they're not going away. This isn't something that's transitory like we might have thought it was 5 or 10 years ago. The most wealthy, powerful companies in the whole world are these companies that hold this content. So this history will be preserved and it will be told. The question is, will our history be part of it? We want to make sure that we do, right? Engagement. This idea of how do we engage with our communities and our constituents? There was a way that we engaged. There still are ways that we engage that are similar 20 years ago to today, but now we have new ways to engage, additional ways to engage. It's not just door to door anymore. It's not just writing a letter or making a phone call. Now engagement means interacting via web interface with media content, i.e. video. This is how we engage, right? There are going to be many, many people that we serve, that we help, that we work with, that we may never actually meet face to face. Or if we do, it's very rare. But this relationship that we have to have a broader use of the word than we would have had 20 years ago. A relationship now can consist of you producing content, someone else consuming content, the perceptions and the inferences that they make based on what you produced. That's created a relationship that we have little power over directly, but it exists. When you ask that person what they think of Veronica or Princess or Urban Tilth, these people that we never meet will have opinions, they will have perceptions. They have been engaged based on the content we created. That's exciting. It's kind of dangerous too, but when we have the skills and we have we're telling a righteous story, we're happy about that. Awareness. That's a big part of engagement too. But awareness is probably a slightly smaller term in the sense that we're talking less about how there's an interaction, but more about people's general idea of what it is that we're doing. And when they have a general idea of what it is that we're doing, they also are going to have responses when there are questions about what they're doing. Like, do you want to participate? Do you want to help? Do you want to support? Those things have already been created, even though we've never actually talked to them. They've been created based on the video content that we have provided and they have consumed. Resource development. This is huge, right? And we know where it's gone and we know where it is, and it's only going more and more that way. Anytime to do the work we do, we need support from funders, from philanthropies, from other interests and stakeholders, right? There was a way that we engaged them 20 years ago, and it would have been, let's have a meeting. Here's the portfolio I printed out. Let's talk about this. Here's my references, right? Those things still have value, but now there's something more valuable. And that is, okay, I hear about your program, that's interesting. What do they do the moment they get off the phone, or the moment someone's told them about it? What are they gonna do to know more about your program?
They Google.
Yeah. And what are they gonna find? They're gonna find the work that you've done, that you've memorialized on the web forever via engaging, dynamic, vital video content that's gonna create impressions in their minds of the value of your work, fair or unfair, instantaneously, right? So what you put out there has a direct impact on how successful your organization is. Advertisement is really, in some ways, it's kind of like a older and smaller version of what we're talking about here, what I just talked about there. Advertisement would have been what we would have probably used as the phrase 20 years ago about how we are promoting our organization. So that's still the case, but there's more to it now than there was before. So lest we think that this isn't necessarily that important or it's just some fun videos we're putting together, those things are true, but they are really important. Here's another one. This is one that I really like. Partnership. Right? This is big. Right? There's an element of resource development there, of partnership. The media that we create, when I use the word media, by the way, I'm not saying like legacy commercial media, like what you see on TV or whatever. When I'm saying media, I'm typically talking about content. Like media can be a video I shoot, or a picture I share, or something I write about something on something else, right? So think of media as just like communication, okay? That creates partnerships. Just like I talked about engagement and awareness and resource development, there's some of this here, right? I'm sure that Doria, in creating this fabulous organization over the last decade, has had numerous instances where people, passionate, talented people from who knows where, have reached out and engaged her and said, how can I be part of your organization? How can I help you? How can our organizations work together based on what they consumed in terms of media, whether they saw it on television or more so now what they see on the web or on social media. So partnership is key. We're creating relationships and developing partnerships based on the way that we're depicting the work that we do and who we are on social media, often with videos. And also, I like this one a lot. This sounds a little bit kind of like some vanity, but there's really more to it. It's really important. It's inspirational. And it's celebration, right? What do you think I mean by celebration? Anybody have an idea?
Like celebrating the work we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like giving
Why is it-
importance. Like if you're gonna make a video of something, it's because that is important. And
Yeah.
when you're making a video and saying that is something important, you're celebrating.
Yes, that's right.
Like making a memory of it because
Yes.
it's important.
Somebody.
Going
okay.
to the other side.
One of the key things about making great video in the field is being able to adapt to all kinds of things that are unforeseen. No matter what's thrown at you, you can still get your footage, you can still get something good going. Celebration is key, right? And why is it so key? And it's exactly what you guys said. And on top of that, what do we know about humans? It's hardwired in us. What do we know about how we work, what we do, and whether or not we're successful about that? When someone works at a job, they need to be paid, of course. They want to be treated well, obviously, right? Hopefully they like what they're doing. But what's really important? Why is it that you do what you do? Yeah. And on top of it all, right? We all want to be appreciated, right? We want to know that our work matters. We want it to be celebrated. It doesn't mean that we are arrogant or cocky or egotistical, we think about ourselves, because we don't. We're obviously all part of the same selfless enterprise. We can probably make more money somewhere else and do all these things. We want to work in public. We want to help our communities, right? And we also like to be appreciated for the work we do. We like to know that the work we do matters. Now, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, when we were part of organizations and we did great work, we did it because we wanted to do it, but we were thanked. And how were we thanked? Well, we would often have like banquets. Yeah, and there'd be certificates, and maybe the executive director would write us a letter, and we'd get that. And those things all help. We put a plaque on the wall, right? But there's something very powerful about the idea of fame, of sharing. Yes, right? When I'm out here working all day long at this farm, planting fruit trees, it's great. I'm appreciated. We all celebrate after, it's fine. But what about when I see that video that's going viral on all the platforms that shows me working with my comrades here at Urban Till and making work that matters, right? What does that do to us as community workers? That inspires us. Right? That pushes us to the next time. And so celebration of great work is a big part of what we're doing here. And sharing that celebratory attitude and idea is vitally important to continuing to build our organization. So, we know why it's important to do this kind of work. Now, we want to talk really briefly about how we do it within the framework of what we are, right? So, what's key is the video content itself, or any content for that matter, has to be reflective in a general way of the spirit and the work and the mission of the organization. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that we as filmmakers with these wondrous tools we have are producing the kind of content that fits into the program's mission, fits into the larger culture of our organization, and ultimately furthers and enhances its mission? How do you think that we make sure that our communications content and our organization's mission coincide? Any ideas about how we build that connectivity?
What you said that again?
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we make sure? Like if I don't know anything about Urban Till, and let's say I'm really good at video, right? And you say, I want you to produce a great video about the work we do here. What am I probably going to do? If I just jump in and I use my great video skills, but I don't know anything about the organization, I'm probably going to produce something that doesn't quite hit the mark, right? People are going to look at it and they're going to say, that doesn't really look like us. It doesn't really reflect us, right? So how do I make sure that the content we create is reflective of the character of our organization?
Like it's always given like a little short bio first of what
Yep. Yep.
organization
Yep.
is. Not like following around, I don't know.
Yep.
Following the employee around.
Yes.
Do
You
some
make it a
research
documentary?
before, some reporting before.
Yes.
And
So what this means really, and this is not something like many things that we do that's of value, it's not something that we can just do once and fix and that's a done deal and we can move on. This requires constant reaffirmation, constant reconnectivity. So I think this is good practice for any organization, certainly ours, whether we're making video or not. What really is important is that as an organization, we have meetings like this. We get together, we have a relationship strong, and we're always on the same page. Ensure consistency of mission, right? And culture. So, the short way of saying it would be, when I'm trying to produce content that's reflective, inspirational, making a history, developing resources, doing all these things to serve my organization, I want to make sure that I'm always keyed in to what the organization's culture is, what its mission is, what our goal is, right? We want to always be rehabbing these conversations. We want to make sure our relationships and organizations are strong and we're all seeing things roughly through the same prism so that we're able to, whether you make a video or you make a video tomorrow or you make a video the next day, they're going to be different. They're going to have different artistic visions, different strengths, different weaknesses, but they're going to be on the same page generally. They're going to speak in the same note, and they're going to do so because there's a consistency and there's a commonality in terms of how we see our organization and what it is that we're doing. That's a long way of saying know your role, know what the organization does, know what it is that we're trying to communicate. If the filmmaker, and that's any of us who runs out with a camera and gets some video, isn't constantly part of the organization's mission statement, the organization's work, then their work is going to veer farther and farther away from what is reflective of what the organization does.
So like you're not gonna go out and like take video of some random stuff and post it like, or like you're gonna take the right video.
Yeah.
Right video.
Absolutely. You're gonna capture a lot of video as you are creating a video. You're gonna capture a lot of footage. And then the selection process of what footage that we use, especially because we make short videos, we're gonna get into that in a second, that is gonna be where the magic's gonna happen. And those decisions we're gonna make about that was the shot that we wanted. Not just because it's beautiful, not just because it was composed right, although those things are nice, but because that image or that phrase or whatever, that was speaking right to the heart of what Urban Tilt is, what we're trying to accomplish with this particular event. You can only know that if you're constantly keyed into the marrow of the organization. You understand your colleagues and your community. And again, this is something we have to work on constantly in order to make sure that we all stay on the same page. In other words, we could all be totally on the same page right now. And a year from now, if we never meet, and if I'm kind of doing my thing and you're kind of doing your thing, then a year from now, we might be producing things that are entirely different visions. And that's the kind of vision inconsistency that might hurt us, that might hold us back. Okay, so that's a bunch of kind of philosophy and context setting. Let's get into some nuts and bolts. I talked about the huge team, video team that we needed back in the day, and we don't need any of that now. Now, we can produce great video, and we can edit it, and we can distribute it to an unlimited audience, and we can do it all with just the phone. Now, we'd like to have a couple other tools, we'll talk about those in a second, but just the phone will get us there. Just the phone. Does everybody here have a smartphone?
Yeah.
That's enough, right? Now, does everybody here have a smartphone, by the way? Now, you can still get by without it, but does everybody here have a smartphone with 4K, which some of the new ones do?
I do right now.
Great, right? And it's just reflective of where we're going. Why is the 4K so great? Which is basically a high quality footage. If I'm looking at it on my tablet or iPhone, I'm probably not going to see the difference much. Maybe not at all.
No.
Yeah. But if we blow it up for some kind of a conference or for a funder presentation, then you're going to notice that difference, right? It's really amazing where we're going. The tools, the capability is something that we couldn't even foresee 10 years ago. So, we have the phone. What else could we use? We definitely could use a tripod. I have one right there. That might be useful. There's also, what are those tools called, Veronica? You probably know. Jiggly?
No, Steadicam.
Yeah, sure. A Steadicam, basically, right? Those are nice, although, pardon?
That's-
Selfie stick? Sure, yeah.
But the Steadicam, what it does is like, it controls the movement. Like you can like shake a little bit when you take video. And if you put it on a Steadicam, it doesn't show like, it controls that. So it doesn't look like you're shaking or anything, you know, very smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has like a joint at the top that allows it to kind of roll.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the newer phones with the high quality video, just with your hand, if you keep it steady, they are awfully steady,
Yeah,
right? You can
also
do without
do
it.
it, yeah.
So now it'd be nice also to have, like I said, a tripod. You have a cord for an external mic. Why are those useful? You don't have to have them again, but they're useful especially you want to have a certain speaker talking to the camera, and you have a lot of ambient noise around you. You can have that microphone clipped to their collar, and they're going to come through quite clearly. And good audio is great for your video. And you can cut out that ambient noise in an outdoor scene. You can also recreate a fine studio atmosphere in any room. Any room in this particular building. We can close off, we can put one in. And if I take the video with just the camera looking at Princess at the desk, and she's talking, I'm going to have that far away sound. There's going to be a little bit of an echo. There's going to be a lot of imperfections there. Get the microphone, put it on there, and it's going to be directly piped in. It's going to sound really professional.
I want to add one
Yes,
thing.
please.
That the audio, the better the audio in the video, the more the video looks more professional. So like if you have video, the same video with a crappy audio, the person that watches the video is like, oh, this is very amateur. But if that same video has nice audio, the person that is watching is like, oh, this looks professional. It's just the sound. It's like a crazy thing.
So how much is the mics then?
Not that much. But it's like, for an interview like that, you can use a mic. But for other things, like for the videos that Robert has been doing, I think it's fine. But if someone is talking and there's like a lot of noise, then it's better to do that mic. Yeah. But it's, right now, things aren't that expensive for the iPhone, for the phone, for smartphones. Yeah. It's very accessible right now.
And when you have video footage problems, there's a lot we can do to fix it, right? You can zoom, you can go farther away, you can crop, you can cut, you can edit, you can do all these things, right? But bad audio is generally unfixable, right? You can turn it up, but if there's still a lot of feedback and background noise, it's going to be that way, and it's going to mar what is otherwise a really nice video. So the better we can make the audio, especially in set pieces, like if we're going to do an interview of Doria, for instance, in her office, we want to have that best audio if we can. So now let's talk about how we do this if we go to a scene and why we do it, right? We know the idea here is to highlight the great work that's done. Let's say that we're going to have an event and we want to capture, memorialize, and share the great work that's done at this event in a way that does all these things that we already talked about. Let's say the event is one of the cleanups here at the farm, which we've all been a part of before. What do I, as the filmmaker who wants to do this, what do I want to think about before the camera rolls, before the event even starts? What do I want to do in preparation to make sure that it goes as well as possible?
Have all your equipment?
Yep.
Test your equipment.
Yep.
Figure out where you want to do it, and if it works out.
Yep.
You doing a guest speaker?
Sure.
Find the best place to get sound.
Yep.
Light, make sure it's the right light.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
What was the question?
Before the event starts,
No, I'm sorry.
no worries. Before the event starts, what do I, as the person who's going to capture this event and create this video, what do I want to think about in preparation?
Okay. If people know about what's going on.
Sure.
Your questions for the person?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
If you have a clear idea on what you want to film.
Yes. So, first of all,
Schedule.
yeah. First of all, these are all excellent points, but I think the biggest one, and the one I want to take off on now, is the one that DeAndre just said. Right? Have a clear idea, right, of what you want to do. It's another way of saying have a plan, right? Become the filmmaker before the event even starts, and think to yourself, how do I want this video to go? Have an idea. Now, there's a caveat here. Well, the caveat is be ready to throw the whole plan out. Okay? But have the plan. Think about it, right? It's gonna be a Saturday cleanup. We're gonna plant stuff. We're gonna clean up the ditches. and there's going to be some speakers in the middle of the day, and one of them is going to be a congressman, right? That's the scenario. Volunteers everywhere doing work, lots of mud, lots of sunshine, great stuff. What am I thinking of? Filmmaker, let me put you on the spot. What do you think I might want to do? Sure, no problem. I'll come back. Do you have one? Okay. There's going to be a big cleanup. We're going to do the ditches. We're going to plant fruit trees and other crops. It's going to be sunshine. There's going to be a lot of work in the soil. There's going to be a congressman here during the middle of the day to give a speech. What do I want to do? What am I thinking about planning my video? Okay, interview the congressman, right? That's good. Anybody?
I think I'm gonna film, definitely film some people cleaning up.
Yes.
Because I need them to show what we're doing. I'm gonna
Yes.
film probably some kids planting, because that's gonna bring like some like tears to the video, right?
Yep.
Oh wow, sentimental.
Then I'm gonna get the congressman, because that's what's gonna bring the money in. Like, look, we got important people here,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm probably gonna get a good angle on him.
Yeah.
Him actually doing some work. We can't
Yeah.
be walking around shaking people's hands.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get some footage of like probably like the tools that was needed, or I don't know.
Interview the community, like
Yep.
to get their feedback
Yep.
and how they felt about being here.
Yep. Got it. Any other ideas?
What about resources? Like what? Why could that not be in your video?
What we need to do our work?
Yeah.
Gotcha. How do we? Now here's the key, right? This is always the question, especially when we have big ideas that we want to advance. The question becomes, how do we demonstrate that in video? Yeah.
Show a broken shovel.
Right,
Yeah.
everybody saying we need
Right. Oh,
tools.
we could use such better tools. You know? I don't know.
So
You could also
go ahead.
show like a small brief example of what it looks like without using tools.
Yeah.
But you could also show in contrast, show what it looks like when you do use tools. So
Yep.
like example, like this is what happens when you don't use tools.
Yep.
Not all together.
Yep.
This is what happens when you do use tools.
Yep.
This is not our fault. This is our fault. So please don't, some shit, something like that.
So your speaker in that scenario is like a narrator voiceover?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Simplify it, you know.
Yep.
It helps like women actors. You don't
Yep.
have to do hella actors and
Yep.
have other people.
Yep.
I was just about to say that, because that's what Veronica did. She was taking stuff that I was saying, and she wanted me to get video shots of it.
Mhm.
What I was saying.
Yep.
Like
So-
it was interviews.
So, sorry.
Go ahead.
When you guys did your video, like you would ask your questions and then you just like answer them.
No, she interviewed me. She did like a personal interview on me, and then she got footage from everybody like that was involved in the project, and was placing them at the times where I was speaking about it.
But what I did,
So like I want to talk about that field part when you spoke. How was that process?
so I'll tell you what happened. So first I met with Princess and I did something called a pre-interview. So I was like, okay, Princess, tell me. So I wrote down everything she told me. But this is for a longer piece. We're talking like a little piece that we can edit on the phone and you can go online. Because Instagram is like 1 minute, right?
Yes. Yes.
How long is Twitter? 1 minute as well?
No, Twitter is 150 seconds, I think.
Okay. And
2.5
Facebook
minutes.
can be longer.
Yeah.
But her piece is like 7 minutes. So what I did is a pre-interview. So I wrote down everything and then I thought, okay, how am I gonna tell this story? And I organized. And then I interview her again and I ask her questions that will give me the answers to tell the story. And then when I had that, then I needed something that we call B-roll. So we needed shots. So I was like, okay, for example, I was like, I need you walking with your son. You know, I need that. I need video of everything that looks crappy on the trail. So she gave me all that video. Then Robert gave me also video. I was like, I need a crate. I need this. I need this. I need this to illustrate what she was saying. And then I put it all together. That's what I did.
That's fantastic. And just to be clear, Veronica's talking about a longer, polished piece, and that's fantastic. What I'm trying to do today is get us to be thinking about and producing short hits, right? A whole bunch of them, so that we can get people to know about the work of Urban Tilth. Now, the larger documentary, Veronica's an expert in that. Many others are as well, and that serves a tremendous purpose as well, right? But we want to be communicating with the public a lot and often.
And with
there's-
social media, you need to do it all the time. You
Yes.
need to be posting videos.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
a lot of times.
And let's be honest. None of us here, Veronica is, but the rest of us, myself included, we're not video directors. We're not video producers. That's not our profession, right? Our profession is community engagement, right? And project management. I work for external communications for a county supervisor. You guys have different roles. DeAndre has a very specific role here in North Richmond, right? This creating video is a small adjunct to what we do. It's supposed to enhance our mission. It's not the mission in and of itself, right? So that takes me to this. First 3 seconds.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. Nothing is more important than the first 3 seconds of your video. Why do we think that is?
To get people to
Capture.
go in
Yeah.
or like exit out.
They want to click on it.
You know what? You know what the
Clickbait.
best? Yes. You know what the the best possible advice I can give to people like myself who aren't classically trained in video production, we should always be thinking like a viewer. That will answer our questions, right? That will tell us how we need to do it. Think about when you're scrolling Facebook or Instagram or anything else. Are you giving that video, how much time are you giving that video to catch your attention before you keep going?
Maybe even the first second.
Yeah, maybe 1 second, maybe a split second, right?
Just the image.
Yeah, right? That's what it is. And so that's what we have to always be thinking about. So, remember my scenario here for our workout here? We're gonna create a little video. What's the first image of our video? Anyone?
The video from Reddit.
Yeah, I have the hypothetical situation of we're doing this cleanup and planting day. There's a congressman here, a lot of volunteers. We're gonna produce a little video. What are we gonna do? What's the first image?
The congressman cleaning
The highlight.
Maybe. That's good. There's no wrong answer here. Maybe that's it. What do you think, Princess?
Like the highlight of the day.
What's the highlight?
Like the nose.
See, that's the beautiful part, right? Is what the highlight is up to you. You're the artist, right? You decide what that highlight is, and your judgment is key. What's the highlight? Make one up.
I would like if I was a viewer, I would click on things that like, oh, look at them cleaning. Like if I see my block or something, like my street, like I would something familiar to everybody in Richmond or something.
What do you think the first image is?
Of my story or the
Yeah.
story that you tell me?
The one that the hypothetical.
Oh,
So
okay.
remember, I just said that there's a cleanup. You get to fill in all the details. Yeah, it's your story.
I don't think nobody want to see trash in the first 3 seconds.
Okay, maybe, right?
Probably some youth though, some youth cleaning or carrying tools.
There you go. That's good. Right? Think cinematically. Always think cinematically. Right? So I don't say I want to see youth or I want to see the congressman or whatever. Right? We need vivid. Right? I want to see youth carrying tools. I want to see the congressman with his elbow deep in the soil. I want to see a community worker slinging a trash bag into the dumpster. That might be my first image, right? I want to see a huge amount of waste in the ditch out there. That might be the. Are those images arresting? Are they catching our attention? That's what you have to ask yourself. Think like a viewer. Create compelling video. Start off strong. Hook them and then tell the story. The congressman with the mic in his hand saying a few platitudes, that might be nice, but that might not be what we want to start with. You might want to throw that in the middle. Back to create a clear idea of a plan. I would say that is going to sound a certain way, but the reality is much less and much more tangible. I'm going to say, have a script in mind for your video before you start. You say, wow, that sounds like a lot. I don't like scripts. I don't write scripts, and that sounds like it's 80 pages or something. When I say script, all I mean is, I don't mean writing anything down. I mean, in your head, say to yourself, I'm coming here, I'm gonna get a shot of someone working in that ditch to start, and then I'm gonna transition over to the congressman giving a speech, and then I'm gonna swing back, I'm gonna get a couple of kids back there at the fruit tree, planting and talking, and then I'm gonna end it with a few words from Doria. There's a script, and it's in my mind. And the beauty is, the reason why it's good to be in your mind is that it should be flexible, because it's going to change based on what you see, based on the conditions you encounter. You're going to decide, oh, that ain't it at all. Now that I've seen something else, it's going to go this different way. But when you have an idea, that gives you a framework within which to think, and that can help hone your concentration when you're actually at the scene creating the video. Now, here's the key. Veronica brought it up earlier when she talked about video that demonstrates what Princess is talking about, right, in that particular example.
Mm.
We have a fancy word for that. What is that?
Illustrate, I said.
Yeah,
Oh, the B-roll?
Yes,
The
yes,
B-roll.
yes, right? B-rolls. Everyone here know what B-roll is?
B-roll?
Yes.
Yeah, spell it for me.
Illustration.
Yeah, kind of.
Somebody nickname.
So in Princess's video, the B-roll was when she was saying, there's nothing in the creek really, in our trail. And you will see all these grass and trees and really nothing there. That is the B-roll. Her interview is not the B-roll. The B-roll is like, I made trick or treat at the creek, and then you see kids doing trick or treat at the creek.
Like
the
the
B-roll.
point you want to make.
What is that?
Like the point you want to make.
Yes, whatever she's saying, that illustrates what she's saying. All those shots. Or when I said, oh, and she said, oh, I never heard about the creek before, and then you see the creek. So the creek, that's the B-roll.
The images to what I'm saying is B-roll.
Right.
Maybe get its name.
Actually, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't
So
know.
maybe like because A.
Yes, I think so. Because the best way to think about it, the best way to think about it is we've all, even your generation is familiar with a typical TV broadcast, right? When a reporter is at the scene, how does it go? We see it all the time, right? Because it works. The reporter's at the scene, there's a big storm, there's a lot of water rushing down the river. And she says, we're out here in Concord and there is a lot of flooding going on behind me. And fire and rescue crews have been mobilizing all day. Now, that only lasts, her talking like that, only lasts for like a couple of seconds, right? Why? Well, what she's saying is interesting, but just watching her hold the mic and talk is not interesting anymore, right? We've seen it, it's called the establishing shot. We've seen them there, that lets us know where we are, who's talking, we are oriented. But now, what do we really want to see? Do we want to see someone talk?
The flooding.
We want to see action, right? And in this case, it's flooding. And when she starts saying fire and police have been mobilizing all day, what do we want to see?
Fire and police.
That fire truck barreling down the highway, you know, firefighters jumping off and grabbing the hose or whatever, right? And that's what happens. Now, this doesn't mean to say that we want you to create something that is derivative and has been done for 20 years. What we want to say is that there are simple ways that us as humans consume information that make it work, right? And no matter how you put it, it's never going to work that somebody wants to watch somebody talk for a long time. It's just never going to happen, right? You want to see images that impress upon what's being said. So when Princess is talking about the amazing work going on in the creeks, we love seeing Princess talk, but we just want to see her talk in the very beginning so we know that she's talking. We want to see those creeks. But we still want to hear what she has to say, because that's interesting. Without that, it's just a video of creeks, right? Which is nice in and of itself. But you put them together, the A-roll and the B-roll. The A-roll is like the audio roll, that might be what it is. The B-roll provides those images that really make it hit. Okay? So just the simple act of creating a video, just the one thing, if there's one thing that you do out of it, it's really simple. If you just go out and you just shoot some video, and you have some video with the audio playing, and then you cut away from that video with the audio staying and put new video over the audio, that one move right there just took you in front of 99% of video that people are consuming on all the platforms, right? All across your feeds, whether it's Instagram, the difference between the amateurs, between your friends and family who are posting video, and the people who have thousands and tens of thousands of followers, the difference is right there, right? One of them, they just do raw video, whether it's long or short or whatever, it's one take. And then the other level is the people who do a tiny bit of video editing and they create a B-roll effect. When you just make that one move, that puts you in the 1% of video producers, right there, right? We can all do it. All I would have to do is give you, to put our minds around it, right? I can take that camera, I can point it at you, and you can start saying your name and what's interesting about you, and you work at Urban Till. And that could go on for 25 seconds, right? And that would be cool. But then if we did it, and after you spoke for 5 seconds, all of a sudden I had images of the plants out there, I had them far away, I had them up close, I had somebody walking up with a wheelbarrow, all while you were talking, suddenly I have a whole different video, don't I?
I make people want to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that I want to add also
Yes,
is like when
please.
you interview someone, like when I interview Princess for the video, I interview her for like an hour, right? But then the video is 7 minutes. So when you interview someone, you just grab whatever is interesting and then you delete the rest. And if you are making like a super short, then you have to just grab a good quote or something, you know? So it also, having B-roll helps you because if you don't have it, you can't cover the jump cut, you know? Because it can sound like the person is like saying something and it's flowing. But if you just see the face, the person is talking about something and then suddenly appears in a different way, you know? So the B-roll helps you cover those things. And also you always have to cut the interview. You always have to make it shorter, especially for a little video.
Let me give you the simplest example, just so that you have something tangible to work with, and then you can do all kinds of great things out of that. But just something very simple would be, hey, there it is. Good to see you. So the very simple one would be, if we're having the big event here, I could easily, and Princess has seen me do this, right? You could simply go over to Doria, or anybody else for that matter, and you say, tell me about what's going on here, right? And then she would say, for instance, she would say, well, we're out here today, we have dozens of volunteers, and we have the congressman, and we have other community leaders that are all coming together here at the farm to plant new fruit trees and clean the ditches where there's been dumping and to plant a new lettuce patch. This is a great day because it's a time for all the community to come together and do a lot of nice work, and the kids are here and the sun is shining and it's really wonderful. We at Urban Tilth couldn't be happier to do this work. And that's, let's say that's, for argument's sake, let's say that was 30 seconds. What could I do with that? And I was filming her looking at her face the whole time, right? From maybe 4 feet away. What can I do with that video right there? Yes, right? So I could just take that video and then I could go out and I could shoot a lot of stuff. And I could want to roughly coincide with what she was saying. When she said that the sun was shining out there, I'd like to have a picture. I want to get creative, right? Maybe I'll have something that's like up close on one of the fruit trees with the sun gleaming in the background, right? And then we said that the kids were out there having a good time. I hope I have some B-roll of some kids playing in the soil. And when she said community leaders, I hope I got a shot of the congressman, you know, giving his speech or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, with that little bit of work, I have a really high quality video, right? Now it's not gonna win any Academy Awards, and it's not gonna make people pay to come to a theater to see it for 40 seconds, but it's got something else that's no less than those things. It's got information, and maybe even more than that, because why do people watch video, right? Yeah. And when after you've seen a video, and I ask you about it a week later, what do you remember about it usually?
The images.
Maybe.
I remember what was being said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember what happened.
Maybe.
It made me feel like I was there.
Maybe. Yeah.
Something that you're interested in, maybe?
Yeah,
That you
maybe.
don't remember that, let's say, I didn't know about. I didn't work at Urban Tech, and then I saw the video. And then I'm gonna just keep on thinking about it. If it's something that
You may remember all those things. Okay? Jojo?
One of the things that everybody just said made me think of like audio.
Yeah.
More so like the audio of what's being heard.
Yep.
So
It's crucial.
maybe keywords.
And like we were saying in the beginning, it's really important to make sure that audio is high quality. So if Doria starts to tell me that, and somebody comes in the other room and like the door opens, it goes ding ding and stuff like that, it's better for me to just stop and say, let's do that again, right? Because we can never, once it's out there, right? But make it clean if you can, because that way you don't want it to detract and distract. But back to what you remember. You might remember all those things, right? You guys are a lot smarter than me. You probably remember all kinds of good details. But there's one thing I know you'll remember. You'll remember how it made you feel, right? Did that video make me feel positive? Did that video make me feel inspired? Because in the end, I said a week later, now talking about a month later. I don't know. There was a video. There was Urban Tilt that was on there. There were several videos. I didn't know which was which. But they all made me feel good. And now when I hear about Urban Tilt and the work they're doing, yes. Do you want me to contribute? Yes. Participate? Yes. Give a reference to somebody? Yes. You name it, right? We're creating organization identity. We're celebrating good work. We're doing it all in 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 1 minute, right? Very simple. Just a phone. Free platforms. Global audience. Go ahead.
I got a problem.
Yes.
Because see, for the person that's throwing, we usually throwing the events. We usually are hosting. So it's kind of hard for us to get footage of good special moments and reactions and stuff like that because we hosting the event. We're the ones like coordinating the event. So that's kind of hard for me to. That's another thing. Like,
I was thinking about that.
how do I capture those good moments if I'm the damn person speaking?
I think since we do have this group now, this community engagement group, maybe you could have one of us go to your events.
Yeah, that's
To do
it.
that.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, Diana. That's exactly what we need to do.
I think someone has to partner.
Right.
We have to partner.
There we go.
Reach out to this group.
Yeah, sometimes you go to theirs, sometimes they go to yours, sometimes I go to.
I did not think about that at all. When I asked the question.
Yeah, I thought that at the event that I went to because you were busy, and I was like, well, you know,
Right.
we'll do
I
it.
didn't have time to get
Right.
good
And
pictures.
Robert has done it for you sometimes.
He always do it for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna do it.
Right, because you're busy doing something else, right? Yeah.
I would say if you want to do one piece of homework, if you will, it is the simplest thing and the best thing and the most empowering thing, even if you never do it again, but you probably will if you do this one step, is just take your iPhone, download the free app iMovie, that's the editing app, and take 3 videos, right? 1 video of someone, anyone, talking, right? About anything. And what's the old trick? Tell me about what you had for breakfast. Right? Give me some detail. Well, I had scrambled eggs, and then I had a glass of water, and I had a cup of coffee, and I felt tired, and then I went to work, right? And that's like 12, 14 seconds. Take that 1 video, somebody talking, and then take 2 more videos that are like 3 seconds each of something, like maybe an egg, or maybe a cup of coffee, or maybe just take a picture out there, right? And then put all 3 of those videos into iMovie. Put the first one down, it's your audio track. And with the audio tracks going all the way through. And then cut away from the audio track after 3 seconds and superimpose the other videos onto it. Now you have an edited video with B-roll. Just do it once and you'll say, wow, the whole world's open to me now. I can do anything.
I got a problem with it.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you gonna come back and show us which buttons to press?
Yeah, sure, no problem. No problem.
That's
Anytime.
so- It would have took me so long to figure out how to cut the audio. Like say I only wanted audio for a certain amount of seconds. Like the last video I did for Facebook, a Facebook event, I had to literally the whole video. I had to talk through the whole video, like my audio. Like I had to just sit there and record what the video was doing or whatever, because I couldn't like
A voiceover.
Yeah, I couldn't like stop the voiceover and continue it in another place. I didn't know how to do that. It took me how long to figure that out.
To separate the video from the audio. But you know, you can also do that. You can also talk while you're doing the video. A lot of people do that. That can be another way. But what he has been doing is like cutting it. I don't know. I like it when it's cut. But to talk while you're shooting the video, that is another way of doing it. There are different ways. But it's important to learn how to edit. Especially we can do it on our phones. So easy.
Yeah, and so work with your colleagues, you know, share information, share ideas. You're the support system for one another. But of course, Princess, if me and you were out in the field working, we'll do it together anytime. But again, just to say it one more time, just download the free iMovie app, you've already done that, and take the 3 videos, like I said, and make yourself a 15-second edited film.
Okay.
And then you'll see you can use those principles on anything. Now, let's go into rapid fire here. Now, more advanced techniques is going to be something called make your videos audio agnostic. Anybody have an idea what that means?
No.
It's like a fancy term. I don't know who made it up. I just heard it, so I keep saying it. It basically means have you scrolled on Facebook and seen a video, and let's say you're at work or somewhere where you don't want anybody to hear, right? And you see the video starts playing, doesn't it? But it's not. You're not hearing the audio. You have to push a button to make the audio turn on, right? The video needs to be able to stand. This is an advanced technique. You don't need to do this tomorrow, but it'll be a huge step up when you do it. Make the video stand alone without audio. How do you do that? Well, number one, you want to have really fantastic images, okay? But there's something more. Yes. You said that. You said that?
Yeah.
Good job, right? And then subtext. Then you got to play with different ways to do it, right? If you've seen videos where like they throw the words up on the screen, they might be different colors, they might go to different spots. That's nice, right? You can do that kind of stuff. iMovie won't do that. You have to get a different program to do it. But if you want to go there, that's big time, right? That's taking.
Do you recommend a program?
Yes, it is called ProMovie. And now the problem is the iMovie's free. ProMovie, I'm told, I don't have it. I'm told it's $2.99. I don't know if that's a monthly subscription or that's what you pay to buy it. ProMovie. And then, Google it for more. But the bottom line is, some of the more powerful programs, you can do some really fantastic stuff with text. And if you do that, you're audio agnostic and you have a really fancy video. And it's really engaging. And what it's doing also is it's sort of assaulting the senses with different communication techniques. In the end, it's more engaging and it's more memorable because it has those
What about
things.
people that's deaf? They can't hear the audio.
Yeah, that's true. It would be good for them. Absolutely. I didn't even get into that, but that's absolutely right. So make your video audio agnostic. But again, like I said, that's an advanced technique. I'm not saying you need to have that done tomorrow, but that would be cool if you did it.
I want to add one thing.
Yes, please.
So in Facebook is right now where people watch most videos, not YouTube. People watch them on Facebook, and people don't. When they watch videos, people don't listen to their videos. I don't know if you listen. Most of the time I don't listen. I'm like, no. So it's very important to make videos that stand alone, like he says, without the
Absolutely
audio
right.
for Facebook especially.
Absolutely right. Because Facebook, the system has created it so it's prioritized it this way, right? Facebook is one of the richest companies in the world, and they put a ton of thought and resources into this. And the way they've decided to do it is you scroll and the video plays automatically. Boom, that's huge for video. That means video is super important. And not with sound. You have to push an extra button to make the sound work. So Facebook is making a multi-billion-dollar decision to say that videos without sound are the best videos. If you can master that medium, your organization can benefit. Okay? Now, Veronica, I want to go into platforms really quick because Veronica brought it up, and thank you for reminding me. People don't watch it on YouTube anymore. Almost. What they do watch on YouTube is longer, more polished pieces. Like when Veronica creates a 30-minute documentary about Urban Tilt, they'll watch it on YouTube or maybe some other program. But what's my flow, for instance, and what might yours be? What might a simple way to start? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Put it on all of them, right? And if your program, if your video can live well on all of them, that's great, right? There are different rules, different ones. Facebook will take the video no matter how long it is, but the shorter the better. Just like the shorter the text that accompanies it, the better. The longer it goes, we don't know exactly how it works, but the longer it goes, the more the algorithm is going to de-emphasize it, the fewer people are going to see it, right? Shorter, shorter, shorter. Instagram will give you exactly 1 minute, right? And it also zooms in a little more. YouTube gets you, I believe, 150 seconds, 2.5 minutes, right?
No, not YouTube. You mean Twitter.
I'm sorry, yes, Twitter, 2.5 minutes. Bottom line is, you don't want any of your videos to be more than 2 minutes, unless like you really have to. I mean, if the executive director says, I want a long video about something, make a long video about something.
Yeah,
Right?
unless it's intentional.
Yeah, exactly. But for the kind of stuff that we want to do, where we want to tell people what happened, think about it like this. What happened today out here in our field, we don't want to write a history book about it, right? We want to share a picture about it. And then tomorrow we want to do something else. And so that's why we don't want to spend too much time doing it. We don't want the video to be too long showing it. Couple more quickies. Let's just talk about the video itself, the B-roll itself, especially, right? The strength of your video is how it starts and how quality and dynamic the B-roll is. Give me faces, most important thing. Give me faces, right? Because what happens? What do you see when the amateurs take pictures and video and stuff? What do you see, right? They don't want to get involved too much. They don't want to draw too much attention to themselves. And they take pictures and video. What do you get? They call it the B's, right? Backs and butts, right? That happens all the time in your photos and videos. That's not what you want, right? It may be uncomfortable, right? But that's the difference between a good video that people look at and one people don't look at. So bring it in there. Show me, get intimate, right? Show me the face. If we could make a video of us talking right here in this room, that could be awesome, right? That could be really interesting. And we can make a video in this room of us talking that'll be really boring and nobody would watch for more than a minute or more than 3 seconds, right? And how would both those go? It's pretty simple, right? I could put the camera from over there in that corner, looking this way. It would probably say the side of my face, the side of your faces. It would see her, but she'd be the farthest, and it'd be sitting there, and nobody would watch that for more than 3 seconds, right? Or you could have a video, and we're doing it's a different perception of the same reality. We have a video that would start with, boom, right up here in my face. We're going to talk about video today, and then cuts away. And then I might say some other stuff, but who cares what I'm saying? While I'm saying it, the camera zooms into her face, right? And then Princess says, well, I got a problem, and the camera's right there on her, right? And then Deontay says, well, I've been thinking about this, and the camera's right there on him. And then, when Veronica says something, the camera's right here, right? Looking down at her, right? And then when she's saying something, it's coming from right here, like that.
No, you gotta put it up. You can't get all angles.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying in the sense that we're just sitting here in a room. It's boring, right? But with dynamism in your camera work, in other words, by taking my phone and swinging it around a little bit, I can make anything happen. It's great, right? So give me faces. Right? Give me some, get in there. Closer. Farther is bad, right, in video. There is a situation where we want what's called like an establishing shot or a contextual shot, where like I might want to be like out of the corner and maybe I want to slowly pan over the farm for a couple of seconds. That could be something, right? Or maybe I want to look down the long street and see like a truck rumble by. That could be something. But for the most part, if there's 5 people out there all working in the thing, I could show them from far away, but I don't want to do that too often. I don't want to do that. I might want to do it once. But what I really want to do is get over there, get in there, see them, show them. This is about people, right? All this work, when it's good, it's about people. That's what we care about. That's what we want to know about. Shortcuts, right? Those B-roll, I don't want to, there's rule of thumb, they're not, all these rule of thumbs are not hard and fast rules, right? I'm just telling you some stuff. You have your own vision, you have your own ideas. You take it, you do other great stuff, you blow it away. But as a general rule of thumb that you may or may not tell, those B-roll cuts, make them short, right? Music video, think about it that way, right? If we're the longer we are forced to look at something, the better it better be, right? So when I'm saying B-roll, I'm saying that stuff should be like a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, not 6 or 7 seconds. Go ahead.
Alright, but I think you mean edit them short, right?
Yes.
Because like sometimes you take video and you have to stay a little bit there because maybe you're taking video and nothing interesting is happening, and then you're like, okay, this is boring, and then something interesting happens. So just like stay there for a little bit until something interesting happens, and then that interesting thing, make it short in your video.
Absolutely right.
That's what I said.
Right? That's a good. You can cut down something that's too long. You can't lengthen something that's not long enough. Right? So do it just like she said. Whenever you think you have the shot, hang for another second. Then you can cut it when you're editing, and it takes no time at all. Right? A couple more, just quickies. Remember, have the script in your mind. Think about who your characters are. We're talking about a 45-second video, but we're still talking about scripts and characters. These things are the same. They're just condensed. Right? Dory is my character, maybe. But Princess, I've done videos where Princess was my character. She was really what drove the whole thing, right? It was about her and what she was saying, and then I built some B-roll around it, and man, it's fantastic. And we get all kinds of feedback. And they said, this is great work, great job, Princess. And people probably recognize you sometimes. Say, I saw your video. These things happen, right? Make that B-roll dynamic. Hunt for good images. Hunt for action. Okay? Another one, think about depth, right? As a general rule of thumb, we like stuff coming forward and backward more than side to side, right? These cameras, for all the great value that our iPhone cameras have, they don't have that long lens effect where they can throw out the background. So because of that, if your action can show depth, like if someone's walking toward the camera, that's better than if they're walking across it. Think about it that way, right? If I want to start with Doria talking to me, if she takes a couple steps toward me and says, hi, that's pretty good. If she walks across my field of view, that's not so good, right? So think about depth, how I can add depth to my vision.
Or like her opening the door for you. Like,
Sure, great idea. And that's the, if there's one thing that I could impress more than anything else, it's sort of a paradox because I'm talking about a lot of rules of thumb. They're just kind of trying to lay a foundation. But what I want to emphasize over and over and over again is be creative. Be creative. Think about your vision. What video do you want to see? And then make it happen, right? That's where the magic happens, not by you guys trying to do what I've done. Do something better, right? Some basic ones, iPhone storage. You guys probably have like 256 or 512 or 128. It's amazing, but make sure that you have ample storage for your iPhone before you start shooting your video because you don't want to run out mid-video, you're going to lose it. Clean your lens, obvious, but key. If there's a little bit of cloudiness in the lens, it doesn't matter what you did, it's going to ruin your video. Like your video will exist, but that'll never be, you can't get rid of it, right? So always clean your lens. Don't run out of space. Put it on airplane mode while you're shooting it so you don't get distracted by calls and so forth. Use what's called the rule of thirds as an idea of how you're composing your shots. Veronica, do you want to expound on the rule of thirds?
The rule of thirds, remind me. I don't know.
So basically, you don't want your subject to be right in the center of your camera view. Think of the camera as like a tic-tac-toe symbol, right? And think about it like use the upper left quadrant or the upper right quadrant, right? And put your people basically just slightly off center. That's the way our minds and our eyes are sort of trained to see the video. When you put people dead center, it looks
Maybe we should make
amateurish.
the drawing on there.
Like, consider this your viewfinder, and just pretend, thank you, pretend that these lines are there, right? And say, I want to put my subject right here, or I want to put them right there, right? And then think about what's in front and what's behind. So that might be Doria's face right here, right? She might be talking, but don't put her right there, okay?
Why? What's wrong with putting her in the middle?
So it's difficult. It's difficult to say exactly, but first of all, conventionally, that's just the way it's always done. And then there's something about our minds that our eyes never go to straight center.
You turned it on and man, you got to this one on the
You know, but sometimes I do it.
It's the crazy.
Sometimes I do it. It's like how like painters did it, and I don't know if it's how our mind works or how we are trained to see things.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know how it
it's
is.
true though, like,
But that's kind of like the rule. But
When I be
sometimes
watching
you can see
videos,
things in the middle.
when I scroll in videos and stuff, I be wanting to. It's like one eye be on the person and the other eye be on the background.
Right.
I think it works on your phones as well. On the newer phones, I know it's on mine. Set the focus. The way you set the focus is you're videoing and put your finger, press it on the person's face. Make sure that it's focused tightly on that person. All right? Another thing to step up your video, take it to the next level. We talked about video agnostic, throwing up the words to support what's being talked about so the video can stand alone without audio. Also, think about how can I use graphical elements to support my video. For instance, right? Someone might create there already is one, a logo for Urban Tilt, right? And you might decide, no matter who's producing the video, where the video goes, where it's from it, all of Urban Tilt videos are either going to start or end or both, make your decision, with a logo, right? And you can create that. You can do this artwork on. Has everyone heard of Canva? Mm-hmm. So Canva's, you make flyers with it. It's a free online application where you can make cool graphics very easily and very professionally. You create one there, you convert it into a JPEG, you import it into your video, and next thing you know, you got something really stylish, right? So, and then also it becomes like a signature. This is an Urban Tilt production, right? And boy, that looks professional. So if all Urban Tilt videos end with like the logo throws up and it moves and it says Urban Tilt production, that's dope, right? Yeah, and it's really easy to do. It's somebody's got to create it.
What about a movie logo?
Movie logo.
That movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And so also make sure everybody probably don't shoot video vertically, make it horizontal, and then also check your settings to make sure that you're recording in the highest quality possible, right? It's probably 4K 60 per second or 30 per second, but just check your settings under your camera and then change your video to the highest possible quality.
But I would say though, like also 1980.
Oh, I never knew
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Yeah.
You don't need to have 4K. I mean, if we have 4K, it's a good thing. But if you don't,
So put it at 4K.
for the web,
What?
especially.
I was thinking 4K 60 per second or 30 per second, but
Do you have 4K?
Yeah, I got 4K, 4K 30, and
Yeah,
25.
So,
But I didn't
So
know that.
how does
this is
make it a
gonna
good video
make it
get
better.
better engagement or
don't look great, anyway, don't look great.
Make it better engagement?
yeah?
It's the best, but it's gonna get it better. If you do this, 1080.
How does it make
If you
us
do
better
1080, it's
at
pretty good.
community engagement?
Because
Yeah.
for the web, you don't need it.
I'm gonna do that.
How about for slow-mo?
Yeah, that's
That's
dope.
cool.
Hey, and by the way, that you can do slow-mo and fast-mo both really easily with your iPhone editing app, and that's an awesome element to put in the videos. So I want to go back to something right before I say. Also, when you're publishing these videos on all the platforms, what's really key is supporting it with good text, short text, giving it hashtags as appropriate, and most important of all, adding organizational partners and others to the post,
There we go.
right?
Tagging
Because-
people.
I
Yes.
missed the last part. Say
Yes.
that again.
As you're publishing your video content across all platforms, you want to have good, short, engaging text that goes with it. Give thought to it. Remember, just like we want them to know in the first 3 seconds what they want to watch it, we also want to engage them in the first couple of words why they want to watch it.
Like,
And then we
watch
want to,
this.
yeah, sure, yeah, but you can do better than that, right? Amazing, like if something, by the way, something,
Amazing day at the farm.
yeah, if something crazy happened, that should be there, right? People want to see the outrageous, the original, the different. So if you have some of that, you're not going to have that every video, but if you have some of that, go with it, right? And you want to tag organizations like Princess did, right? because you want to harness the power of others to share with their networks as well, and you want to build this sense of camaraderie and spirit among your various groups, and that can be done with communication and with tagging people on these videos. They're in the video, they're tagged in the video, they're celebrated, they're supported. And that brings us back to, my favorite question. She asked, we dug into this quite a bit right before she walked in, and now it's worth going into it again, because she said, what was the question again?
How does a good video make us better at community engagement?
We really unpacked that, right? Who wants to tell me a little bit about that?
All of those whys. It engages people. It brings in the history.
The 3 seconds.
Yeah, no, I was here for all of that.
Yep.
Like, I'm not asking why,
Okay.
but I'm asking how does this make us better at getting people to come.
Let me try to take it. Yeah, because we went into this, and I want to go into it again because it's so important. Right? Otherwise, nothing else matters. If we were doing this work, the same work, 20 years ago, and we wanted to share this stuff, right? We'd hope that the like a television station might pick it up. We would put together like a newsletter. We might send it to some people. We'd of course write letters to funders. We'd be forced to do what we do, door-to-door outreach maybe, right? But now we have new tools. And these new tools allow us to share what it is that we do and with whom we do it, right? These new tools, that's why the video is so important. So what happens is engagement has become a whole new process, right? When you create a video and it shows you and some other people doing amazing work, and children are smiling, and crops are getting planted, and ditches are getting cleaned, and political leaders are taking notice, and positive work is taking root in this community. When you do all those things, and then you create a video that immortalizes that work into images and sound and light, and then hundreds or even thousands of people here and across the world, they're exposed to that. They see it. And then they create impressions in their mind. And they have an idea of what it is. And they form opinions, right? And they've been engaged. I didn't need to meet them and shake their hand and talk to them to engage them. And I've made them feel some kind of way about the work that's being done here. And then they might contact us, or they might go to our website, or they might become one of our partners or one of our funders. And then they might tell 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 people about it. And they might share it with another network. All this engagement made possible by the tools we have, but more importantly, the creative vision that you created and you put into that video, right? All that engagement occurs. History is being captured. These companies, this isn't a transitory medium anymore. The internet's not going away. The content that YouTube and Facebook have, that's just as permanent, in fact, it's more permanent than the 1,000-year-old libraries in Rome. More permanent, right? Because those could burn down. A bomb could hit those, right? The web will be everywhere, forever, right? It's going nowhere. Awareness, back to engagement. Resource development, right? That's one of the huge ones. I think Princeton brought it up earlier. How do we tell people about what we're going to do? Well, back then, we would have had to hire a whole crew. We would have maybe created a video, would have sent them a DVD or something, and hope they watched it, and written a letter and all those things. But now, it's organic. The images and the video, they're out there, and they get spread, and they find their way to other people. When anybody knows about Urban Till, more and more, they already know about it today. Right now, today, the people who haven't been here know about Urban Till based on what they've seen online. They know about it based on the newsletter, maybe, or the e-blast, or maybe some Facebook posts or whatever. That's going to just continue. That's going to be more so. And we want to be sure that our best face is put forward in all those interactions. Partnership. We talked about celebration earlier in the sense of we want to celebrate the good work that we are doing and our partners are doing, right? It's one thing for me to get a real high from working with everybody and having a great day out on Saturday. If the next day I'm also in a video that my grandma saw in Indiana and called me about and said, wow, that was really cool, you're in that video. That's a whole other thing. I got something else going on. When Princess's mom sees her doing great work and it's videoized, that's a whole different thing than if she came home and she told her mom all about it, right? And that's gonna make that person talk to other people in that way. So, the bottom line is, this engagement thing is just a monster, right? And that it's a good monster, and it's a monster we feed, and it gets bigger and better the more quality content we give it. So this thing feeds on video. We give it more video of this kind of action, and our engagement, those benevolent tentacles go everywhere. So the short answer is video makes more people like what we do.
Yeah, but the best videos be the crappiest videos.
What do you mean?
like on Facebook. I mean, you see the little ratchet fight videos and little kids playing with
Viral
something.
videos,
Yeah, like they don't have none of this, and millions of people see it and share it and all of that. And like,
That's what you said too earlier. He was like, you could take like it could be like a raw video where you just capture,
okay, I came in
where
on
you
the
just
political
capture the reaction or the now thing.
Yeah.
Or it could be like these little short videos that we edited. It's kind of like commercials.
oh,
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like showing people just updating them instead of writing a whole damn newsletter.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then like they're always gonna be like people that, you know, they cat videos is what most people watch.
Raggedy cat.
And they are gonna be all those videos and people doing like crazy things to themselves and people
Right,
are gonna
but
watch that. Yeah, but
Everybody was-
there are other videos too that people are gonna watch. Maybe
Yeah.
they are not gonna have, I don't know, like 4 million people watching them in a month, you know. Maybe it's gonna be less than that, but still, we're gonna reach so many
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that we could, if we didn't do them, we wouldn't reach them.
There's
But
a
if
couple
we do
of-
them, we will.
Yeah. There's a couple of things from what you said that are really powerful. I want to unpack them real quick. Number one, this is a power that we can harness. What you're saying is, number one, this is raw, not quality video, right? It's not aesthetically pleasing in some ways. Well, in a lot of ways, neither is ours, right? Ours isn't going to win any Academy Awards. Ours might make lots of mistakes. We're just shooting it on the fly with phones. We're going to edit it quickly. Now, we want it to be engaging, we want it to work, but it has a rawness factor to it also. So in other words, the point there is you don't need to have a ton of skills and a ton of equipment to make videos that people want to watch and people remember, right? So that's number one. There's a power in the rawness, and that's great. Now, the videos you're talking about, unfortunately, they convey something that's rather negative, right? You're talking about, you know, kids maybe fighting in the street or something that gets millions and millions of hits. It's terrible quality and all that. However, for every one of those, there's a whole bunch of videos out there that get people to there's a lot of positive ones that are interestingly also very low quality that go viral, right? And they do it, the factor is the unusual part, right? There's gotta be something unusual, there's gotta be something different about it, right? I'll give you an example. If we're out here and we're working in the farm and we make a nice little video out of it and it's 45 seconds, they can get a lot of hits, right? But if Veronica is talking on the camera in the very beginning and
Trip or something.
pardon? Yes, yes. And she steps on a rake and it flies up into the face. Or if a bird flies up and lands on her shoulder, she goes, ah! Right? That could be a viral video that could go crazy, right? Now, if we get, number one, if we get footage like that, we want to use it, right? We want to leverage it and make something positive happen out of it. But even if we don't, the point is the same, right? What it is, what people are drawn to is something unusual, authentic, unscripted. We can't always get that. Otherwise, by definition, it wouldn't be authentic or unscripted, right?
But we use it.
It'd be contrived.
We black and we working on the farm.
Oh, okay, sure. There's something, sure. Right? And in fact, I've seen stuff like that where it was like, there was like a video story of some kind, and it was like, look at these young men from this, you know, community, and they were taken out to like Kansas or something, and they were farming. And there was a couple of interviews. It was like really short. They threw up. It did have really dynamic text They made it agnostic, right? It was on the one hand, the video footage was shot pretty amateurly, right? Like we would. But then the way they produced it with the text was pretty slick. But the bottom line is, it went viral because it wasn't because it was positive, but it was nice that it was positive. It went viral because it was unusual. That's always the way it is. It's unusual, right? So if you got a story like, you know, men from prison are at Disneyland, right? And they're doing that's something that might go viral, right? That might be like, look at how crazy this is. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be different. So when Princess says something like, you know, African Americans are farming in North Richmond, well, that might be something to work on. That might be, you might have something there, right? I'm not saying you want to beat that drum with every video, but that could be something that could be interesting. So, I've gone on way too long. This is turned into almost 2 hours, but before we totally wrap up, are there any lingering questions? Any concerns? Anybody just not a believer and think we should jump the whole project?
So my question is, what if, for example, what if you have like an Android, or you only have a laptop to work with, or you have just a camera, not an actual phone? Like, I don't know, that my phone always breaks. Like, this isn't even my phone because this is my replacement phone. So, yeah, that happens to me a lot. My phone breaks. And
Well, if your phone is broken, if your phone doesn't work, right? What you have is a problem with you have a